Hello, and welcome to Larimer County Snapshot News. I'm Jorie Kramer.
And I'm Adam Eggleston. Today, Jorie and I will be looking at what's been going on around Larimer County. We've been using reports from the Colorado Citizens Observer Corps, a project of the League of Women Voters of Larimer County.
Then Adam and I will talk with student reporter Trey O'Dell about his research into the impacts of the CSU Stadium on the neighborhoods surrounding it 10 years after its very contested construction. Later in this episode, I'll also have a conversation with the executive director of the Fort Collins Mural Project, Jess Bean. Now, on to the news from around the county. Adam, do you want to kick us off?
I sure do. Thanks so much. I had the opportunity to review and watch the Wellington Board of Trustees meeting from July 9th. In that meeting, they discussed fairly at length a new 9-disc disc golf course on the east side of the interstate, as well as an ADA fishing pier and a dog park. So sounds like they are moving forward, and they got a $50,000 grant to move forward with that ADA fishing dock.
Wow, that's wonderful.
That
is really cool.
It's a great addition to Wellington, especially on the east side of I-25.
Yes.
And then additionally, you talked about how this town will implement the new recently passed bill from the state, SB 121, which restricts gun carrying, firearm carrying in sensitive spaces like town hall, courtrooms, stuff of that nature. So after quite a bit of discussion, they voted to, in a executive session, they voted on to move forward with a interpretation to partially opt out of the new Senate bill, to allow some firearms carries within certain scenarios. And so it was very nuanced and detailed conversation they had that went on for about 3 hours. So it was a good length conversation. So that was kind of went on up in Wellington.
It's very interesting, Adam, that they did that and that they had that long of a conversation about it. So when will they reveal the plan?
So it sounds like they will implement it within 30 days. Of the plan, and then once they release the minutes, we'll have a little bit more details on the exact nuanced on what parts of the SB 120 or 121 will be implemented and which ones they will opt out of. Part of the provision at the state is different municipalities can opt out of different portions of the new bill based on what they feel is warranted for their citizens in their area.
Well, thank you for reporting on that. That was good. I am picking up my portion of this from the Observer Corps notes. And the first note that I'd like to call attention to is that the Larimer County Commissioners have decided not to provide money for public restrooms in Red Feather Lakes. John Kafalis, the Larimer County Commissioner and liaison to Red Feather Lakes, informed the Red Feather Lakes Planning Advisory Committee on July 25th that the request for money to operate and maintain public restrooms was not approved. The money was to come from COVID relief funds, and Kafalis suggested the committee ask the Red Feather Chamber of Commerce if they can assist with the operating costs of these public restrooms. The relief money has been put back into the Larimer County General Fund, and currently the only public restrooms in Red Feather Lakes are located in the public library. Also, back on July 9th, the Larimer County Commissioners voted to provide legal support for 2 court cases, Jordan Rich versus John Fayen and Dustin Bartles versus Larimer County Sheriff's Office. No further information on these court cases was given. However, a man named Dustin Bartles was shot by Larimer County Sheriff's deputies Sergeant Jackie Stimmick during an incident that occurred on January 10, 2022. Larimer County District Attorney Gordon McLaughlin, along with the Critical Incident Response Team, investigated. In February of 2022, McLaughlin announced he would not be bringing charges against Stimmick. It is not clear however, if this is the Dustin Bartles that is involved in the upcoming legal action. But Also, on July 23rd, at the Administrative Matters meeting, Tina Harris reported to the commissioners, and Tina Harris is the Larimer County Clerk and Recorder. She reported on the statistics for the voting during the party primaries held in June. In Larimer County, 29.5% of the voters voted, so that's almost 30% of the voters voted. We beat the statewide statistic, which is 26% of voters voting in the primaries. There were 74,070 ballots submitted in Larimer County, but 544 of those were rejected, and many of these ballots came from unaffiliated voters who turned in both the Democratic and the Republican ballots. Harris encouraged people to apply to be election judges for November 5th, and information may be found at the county clerk's website on how to become an election judge, something that is most needed. So the Larimer County Observer Corps members who contributed to these reports were Nancy Wendland and Lee Teeland. And we will provide the links to where you can read the whole report in the show notes. So that concludes our news section. Or Adam, did you have more, or is that?
No, that's a good wrap up, and appreciate the detailed reports from our citizen observers.
Yeah, they do a good job. So, well, now we'd like to bring into the mix Trey O'Dell. Trey uses the pronouns he, him, and he is a junior, starting his junior year at CSU, studying journalism and media communications. I met Trey this last spring when he was here at FC Public Media doing a project called Story Sprints with journalism instructor Jenny Fisher. And this was a group of students who came together to study what has happened in the 10 years with the stadium that was built on the CSU campus. As we all know, it was highly contested. And Trey, you chose to talk to some of the neighbors and find out what the impacts on the neighborhoods surrounding the stadium have actually been in the 10 years since it was started. So Trey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So what neighborhoods did you talk to?
Yeah, I talked to the Shealy edition mainly, but I also talked to residents, I can't remember the name of the neighborhood, but that lived around where Hughes Stadium used to be as well.
Oh, interesting. So you could kind of have a comparison there.
Exactly. So talking to the Shealy residents, going in, I was definitely expecting there to be a lot more animosity just based off of all the reports previously talking about, the what were the court hearings, all of that stuff, the public forums. It was a lot going on with it. So I was pretty shocked to find out that a lot of the residents had pretty much fully come around. I spoke with.
What were their fears? What did they fear would happen?
Yeah, there were a lot of the concern came to game day traffic and parking, disturbances, like neighborhood disturbances with attendees, and it was also light pollution, noise pollution, just general disruptions to neighborhood life outside of the university.
And you said you were pleasantly surprised that.
Absolutely. Going around the neighborhood, a lot of people had generally positive things to say. There was this one woman who I wasn't able to quote, unfortunately, but spoke about how she actually hated the stadium, did not like it, but she had nothing to say about it. She only disliked it for the fact that Hughes Stadium was no longer in use. So it was pretty fascinating to see that switch up. And I got to spoke with a resident, Nick List, who really mentioned how the general community has come around together to support this. He noted how there was a lot of my goodness, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
But a lot of just camaraderie about it. Residents would put out their trash cans for game day attendees to throw away their roadies, as they call them. And
they're roadies.
Yes, those are the most important ones to have.
What are roadies?
They're just drinks you have on the way. You got your koozie.
Okay.
You know,
I see.
nice Coors Light, maybe a 90 shillings.
And so instead of picking up the cups and the cans off the street,
They throw
thought,
them into the
"Let's
trash
just-"
cans,
Yeah.
which is super helpful. And then
Yeah.
another resident, Lizzie DeRoyer, I'm so sorry, but she mentions how great it is having the energy around, being able to see all the students in their game day attire. Like they got their overalls on, green and gold, and it just really amps them up. And she loves hanging out on the porch with her husband, watching them come through. So
Well, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Did any of them express to you that they felt trapped in the neighborhood, that they wouldn't be able to leave during a game?
No, absolutely not. Nick List talked about how the residential parking permit program, how, albeit frustrating it could be sometimes, really helped them out in terms of easing that sort of game day parking burden. And it really also helped them to, keep the streets clear of parking.
So what is the residential parking program?
Yeah, it's basically a program that neighborhoods can apply to. And essentially what it is it mitigates parking impacts around campus mainly. And you can apply for
The
permit.
resident can apply.
Or the neighborhood itself. I think residents have to come together.
So it's a neighborhood-based opt-in, and I think there's about 13 different neighborhoods that have it. And it allows each resident gets a certain gets like the first permit for free, and the second permit for the year is a nominal fee, $10 or so, and it kind of stair steps its way out. So if you have 4 or 5 vehicles, it can get a little bit pricey at a couple $100, but it limits non-residentials without that permit the parking for no more than 2 hours on that block face.
Out on the street, not in a driveway.
Correct.
but
Yeah.
out
So
on
you
the
can have
street.
your normal parking spots within
Yeah.
the driveway, but on the street it limits a 2 hours parking limit per block face. And so for like delivery drivers or for even
Right.
small businesses, if you have like a hair salon within those neighborhoods, someone a
can do
client
that.
can park, and not have to worry about being ticketed.
But on game day, the attendees, whether they're students or not, can't park in the neighborhood. So
Correct,
that's-
yeah. Thank you for the save, Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I told you, if there's a rabbit hole, I'll find it. So.
Right.
There's random useless information from City of Fort Collins and around. I probably know it.
Perfect.
And if
I'm
he
gonna
doesn't,
rely
I
on you.
might. So we're very good at rabbit holes. So, and well, I think that's really interesting, because the Shealy edition is the neighborhood. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's east of Shields, but south of Prospect. So kind of in between College but down closer to Shields than.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
So right there, right by the stadium.
Yep.
Right across from Prospect from the stadium. So yeah. And was there anything else that surprised you or that you liked?
I got to speak with actually. One sec. Sorry. I'll start. I got to speak with Drew Brooks, Deputy Director of Planning, Development, and Transportation, and he had a lot to say about the traffic burden. That was another huge concern of residents, was feeling trapped in their own neighborhood. And I spoke with him, and he went into great detail about how, first of all, they emphasize like transit ridership, so taking the buses, biking, for residents in Fort Collins, and then people coming from out of town have that on-campus parking availability made available by the students moving their cars. And on top of that as well, and they're doing a lot with this, they have traffic camera monitors, like actual people that are sitting there making sure that traffic's flowing. You know, if anything's getting backed up, they'll step in.
No, you mean like they're out on Prospect?
Oh, no, sorry.
No, that's all right.
Traffic engineers, that's what I meant to say. I apologize. Traffic engineers that are, off-site, looking at the cameras at the
They're
intersection.
watching through cameras.
Correct, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they're the ones making sure that traffic's flowing smoothly. If there's any sort of traffic jam, at the beginning of the game, or at the end of the game, they're on top of it, making sure everything's going as smoothly as
So
possible.
do they like keep the light red longer, or keep the light red
Pretty
or
much,
greener
yeah.
longer, something like that. Interesting.
There-
That's got to be a domino effect, though.
It is, and it's fascinating. If you ever have an opportunity to tour the transportation center over behind New Belgium, it's fascinating to see all the cameras and computer and software they have, where they can monitor the time for each light throughout the city and help to mitigate big traffic jams. So, to your point, when like the game's getting going, they can keep a left or right turn signal on a second or two longer to allow one or two extra cars to get through. That reduces the whole congestion. So it's
Interesting.
really fascinating engineering when it comes to flow matrix.
Maybe we'll take our podcaster over there sometime and do a podcast from there.
It would be fun and
Be more fun to have a video camera, but
Right.
yeah. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you found, Trey?
Truthfully, that really sums it up. I mean, well done by CSU and the city itself to really mitigate these concerns and impacts and really fully address the concerns of the community and make sure that they were met entirely.
It sounds like they really listened to those concerns. So.
Absolutely. And I think it really speaks on, people getting out there, making sure their voice is heard.
That is a very good point, Trey, because if they hadn't let the city know that, hey, we don't want to be trapped in our neighborhood, we don't want this trash in our neighborhood, we don't want, that would be,
Exactly.
yeah. So the citizens made a difference by
Definitely.
raising their voices. So
It did, and it was a fascinating process when they were looking to construct that stadium. The meetings and the outreach was years in the making, and so the city did a really good job of allowing there is ample time and opportunity to have voices heard.
Absolutely.
well, I know that even FC Public Media had volunteers that recorded some of those listening sessions and some of those discussions and helped to get the word out that way. So, yeah, it definitely was a community discussion, conversation.
Yeah, CSU and the city really came together through the Intergovernmental Agreement, IGA.
IGA.
I
IGA.
think they have like several going.
Probably.
With the government, but this one in particular regarding the stadium, they amped it up. At least from what I could saw, they set up an entire stadium advisory group for a while that met. I believe it was monthly for a while there.
They met monthly, and then they had outreaches at the Drake Center and pop-ups at the Senior Center and city, and so the implementation of it was quite welcoming. So they did a great job.
Well, it must have worked.
I believe so.
It did.
It seems as though.
Well, good job, Trey. This was very interesting. And
Thank
it
you
was
so
really
much.
neat to hear what the residents in those neighborhoods thought. So
Absolutely.
good reporting. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Very fascinating reporting.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Jorie Kramer, and I have got a very special artist with me today, Jess Bean. Jess is a local artist here in town. She specializes in murals, and she is also the executive director of the Fort Collins Mural Project. And these folks are responsible for many of the beautiful murals that you see around Fort Collins. And Jess has graciously agreed to come on Snapshot News today and tell us about the Fort Collins Mural Project. So Jess, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me and for that amazing intro. Got me a little teary.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Well, Jess and I were just talking. We have a lot in common. We're both volunteers for for our nonprofit organizations, and that requires a lot of a special calling. We'll just put it like that. So it's great. And well, Jess, tell us about the Fort Collins Mural Project. What do you folks do?
Oh my gosh, yes. So we are a local nonprofit and we specialize in providing contemporary art to Fort Collins. We like to hire artists that are BIPOC, LGBTQIA+, and emerging, and also local artists that are more advanced in their career. And we and give them opportunity to work side by side. So there becomes some natural networking and mentorship and career progression, which is what we really like to see from our artists afterwards, is watching them soar and change their path.
Yeah. Well, I was noticing on your website that you offer, speaking of helping artists to soar, I was thinking of the classes on your website that are business oriented more, as well as technique and craft oriented. And I thought that was really an interesting piece.
Yes, we were so lucky. Last year we got the For Fun grant and we used it to put on workshops and artist talks. And that was the first time we were able to have a substantial amount of funding to put towards workshops and artist talks. And it was great. The feedback was great, and it was lovely to see our local artists taking advantage of these workshops. They were all very low fee base, so either free or very low fee. And then also, if someone is ever unable to attend based on a fee, they can always let us know, and we do allow people in. We don't want there to be a barrier.
That's awesome. And people can find out about, see your schedule, find out about the classes at your website, which is
fcmuralproject.org.
fcmuralproject.org, and I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
And as I was researching this, I realized this would be so good in video because of all the beautiful murals. But if you go to fcmuralproject.org, you will see, you can view all their pictures of all their murals. And I assume it's all the murals. I don't know. Maybe it's most of them or something, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it blew my mind to see how many. Do you know offhand how many murals you've done?
Yes, we are at 87 currently.
Wow.
And I believe only a handful have been painted over in the last 9 years that we've been going. And they're each contracted for 3 years to stay up. So after that, the building owner can do what they like with them.
Nice.
But yeah, the ones that have been painted over are usually because the building's being sold, though. So that's the bummer part. But as mural artists, we know our art is ethereal and doesn't always get to last forever in the public eye.
That's got to be hard. Well, we could probably do a whole show on just that.
It's half hard and half magical. I don't know. I love it. I kind of love it. Yeah, I love the idea of like it poofing away and then maybe coming back in a different way or a different form in some other part of town.
I hadn't even thought that might happen. That's true too. It can morph into something different or be rebirthed as something different. So, well, Jess, how do you go about choosing artists, and why don't you walk us through how you, because I'm just kind of mind boggled is that you do this. And so what's your process for choosing the artists, choosing the walls, choosing the projects?
Absolutely. So our artist call goes out every year, usually in the spring. And we are looking for Colorado-based artists. So we would love to open it up one day to artists outside the state just to give our local artists more networking opportunities. But right now we don't feel like that's equitable without being able to supply a travel stipend. So right now that's just in our little parking lot of ideas. And then
I love that, the parking lot Ideas.
Yeah.
It's probably overflowing. How many levels?
I should call it like a 5-gallon bucket of ideas. Yeah. But yeah, and then we go through all the artists. We usually have a pretty large amount, close to 200 every year apply.
Wow.
And we look through their artist statements. We look through the work that they submit. And one thing that's unique about our mural festival, or what we like to call the mural project, is we take artists that haven't done a mural before and we give them that first opportunity. So you don't have to submit photos of actual murals. You can submit photos of artwork that you've hand painted, or we do prefer hand painted because we want to be able, it gives us an idea of how you could scale up. We can kind of see that future from your hand paintings.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you get 200 applications and you don't have 200 murals, I'm assuming.
No, we usually do about 15 slots every year, 10 to 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah. So how do you, so you've winnowed it down through, you like the design, or you think there's potential?
Exactly. Yeah. So we either like the designs you've shown us from your past work. We like the design. We also ask them to describe a design that they might want to do that year. And that writing does influence our judgments quite a lot because it is really cool to see your dreams of what your mural would look like. And, sometimes our judges get really excited by that, which are our board members as well.
Which are all volunteer, just like FC Public Media's board members. I'm just going to throw that out.
Yep.
Nice.
Yes, we got a strong volunteer group, which is
Yes.
awesome. But yeah, like there are some lows where you might not hear from us quickly on email because we're a little tired or busy with our day jobs.
And tell us what your day job is. Well, we're segueing here for a little bit. We'll come back to the projects, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm a full-time muralist. So I am an artist, but I specialize in murals. They are my absolute lifeblood. I love doing them. They're very blue collar, like being outside, hard work, in the elements, dirty, but I love it. I love it so much.
that is really cool. That is really cool. So okay, so your board chooses a design, or 10 or 15 of them.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Yeah, they choose their top 20, and then that gets laid out into a rubric. And then from there, we make sure that that top 20 has a certain amount of BIPOC artists, a certain amount of LGBTQI+, a certain amount of emerging, and then a certain amount of more, quote, experienced artists. And the reason I want to put the quote around that is a lot of times we have very experienced artists that we are calling emerging, but they aren't emerging in art. They're just emerging in murals. So they could be like, we've had super amazing 10, 15, 20-year-old tattoo artists or gallery artists and studio artists apply, and then they do an amazing first mural.
That's kind of different to think from, some tattoos are large, but not in the mural sense of large, the scope of a mural. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in the local tattoo community to be able to execute a mural because they are working on a canvas that is wiggling and
And screaming in pain.
And
No, I'm sure
changing.
they're not. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that, but
I'm sure it's true for some, yeah. But yeah, and they, getting your art onto a weird surface like a wall that might have piping
Yes.
or ladders that you have to paint
even the
around.
texture of the siding or the brick, whatever it is.
Yeah, weird textures and stuff. And
Yeah. Sucking in the paint, I'm sure it's...
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it's like to just paint a house. I can't imagine trying to put a beautiful design on,
yeah,
a surface
with those
like
extra levels of complication. Yeah, for sure.
And then what's the time frame?
They have a week to paint their first mural or their mural. So they have a week to paint their mural, and we do allow them to go over a little bit because we want them to make something that they're really proud of. We don't want them to feel rushed. So usually we give a little leeway so they can have time to perfect it and get it where they want it before they have to walk away. It's not like a hard deadline where this is your last day and you're done.
But they know more than a week in advance that they're going to be doing this, so they have I assume, time to plan. And...
Yeah, they know months in advance.
Oh, good.
And
Okay.
we send, yes. And we should I'll probably kind of, they know months in advance. And then we pair them with walls. And that's the part that gets a little wild every year. We have a wall call that is continuous. So local businesses can sign up at any point. The only thing we can't do right now are city-owned buildings. We are looking into ways to be able to do that in the future, but at the moment, that's just not on the table. But yes, if you're a local business or building owner, you can sign your wall up. You put in a picture of your wall. If you have the measurements, that's awesome. That helps a lot. And we go through and they're allowed to say things like, we want something really colorful, or, like, we want something more subdued and tranquil, but they can't dictate the art itself down to design. Yeah, so we do require a level of trust. Yeah.
Well, so far it's working, in my humble opinion. So.
It is working, yes.
But do you call for a theme? Do you say this year we're doing hummingbirds or, something?
No,
That's corny, but, there'd be some theme or something. Columbines and hummingbirds, very
it's
Colorado.
Not corny because I know which one of your murals is our favorite mural.
That's
and it
right.
happens to have a hummingbird.
Yes, it does. It does. We're talking about the mural at Chippers Lanes on Horsetooth and Mason.
Yes.
It's Mason, not McClelland.
I believe it is.
It doesn't
Mason.
matter. Down there
Yeah.
by the Max tracks.
Yes.
And just that it's an optical illusion. I feel like I'm falling down that spiraling tunnel every time I drive by it. It's just a masterpiece, and it's huge. And it's on a like corrugated metal,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, just I don't know how the artist did that.
Yes, that was Bobby McGee Lopez, and he is amazing, and he's still local here in Denver. If any of you want to check him out, but yes, he's a great artist.
Well, definitely go on the Fort Collins Mural Project website and look at these murals because they are just incredible. But anyway, back to that. No theme. There's no,
No
world
theme.
peace or anything. You just...
No, our theme is creative freedom.
Wow.
And do something that makes you smile when you're done with it, as an artist. We want you to be really proud of the work you created.
Yeah.
So our building owners have instilled a lot of trust in us, and we do try to curate very well based on what we know their parameters are, even though we don't give them a lot of parameters. So then we give the artist the picture of the wall that we've assigned them to based on the parameters set by the building owner. And the artist creates a mock-up, and then the mock-up gets sent to the building owner. The building owner does get final veto. So if they're like, this just isn't working for me, or it's not my style, because art is subjective.
Yeah. We don't want skeletons on the healthcare clinic.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. We have had kind of funny situations like that where we're like, oh, we didn't think about that until you pointed it out. Thank you. Yes, we'll pivot.
Can you share one, or is that confidential? I don't want to put you on the spot.
We had one a few years ago, and it is a beautiful mural. It ended up going in on West Elizabeth, across the street from Road 34, and it is a woman's face, and it's horizontal.
On the side, yeah.
Yeah, with the plants coming up in front of her face.
Gorgeous.
And that was going to go at Rest Haven Funeral Home, and Rest Haven was like, oh, that looks like someone that's passed away. And we were like, oh my gosh, we didn't even think about that. We just thought this is such a gorgeous portrait.
It is. It's not appropriate for Rest Haven, but much more in Campus West.
Yeah,
yes.
in Campus West, you don't think of any morbid thoughts when you see it at all. You're just like, that is stunning.
And I didn't when I saw it on the website.
Yeah.
So I was just, but that's a great example of the board being sympathetic and empathetic with the building owner's needs. So
yes, we try to be empathetic as much as we can.
Yeah.
So we shifted the artist. That was Marissa Napolitano, or Reverie Art. She is also amazing.
Yeah. They all are. I didn't see one that I went, really?
Yeah, I feel like I could say that about everyone.
Yeah.
And so her mural lives there, and it lives without poor context now.
Much better, yes.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that's important to both the artist and the business owner. You want that compatibility.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and we want this to be a good time for our artists. So we don't want to stress them we don't give them any additional stressors at all. We try to do as much legwork as we can to take all the stress off.
And on a volunteer basis. So bless you very much. That's awesome that you do that. And I noticed too that you, FC Mural Project provides the materials, insurance,
so
legwork.
we supply to our artists. We do supply stipend or a material stipend up front, and we give it to them a couple weeks in advance so they can shop and get, if they can find discounts, get discounts. And Jerry's Artorama has always been great, and Ace Hardware has always been great to us and giving our artists little discounts here and there when they can,
Awesome.
And we also tell them about the landfill, getting the recycled
the free
paint.
paint there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And a lot of artists really care about the environment. So that's always a great resource to give them. They're always excited. And we supply drop cloths and scaffolding and ladders and lifts whenever we can.
Wow.
Yeah, as much as we can. And then sometimes shade tents as well. But these are all things that our board members are just storing in their garages and bringing out as they can for them. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think one of the most important things, though, that you provide for the artists is support. How do you do that? I mean, for their everyday lives.
Oh, yeah. So we do, if an artist has to travel a good distance, we have artists coming from Southern Colorado or Western Slope, We provide free housing, usually with our board members, which is always
Still.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. But it's funny because every year the artists were like, I was a little nervous to take you up on that, but now I'm really happy I did because this is nice.
Who am I getting in with here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
They come and we're like, we have Epsom salt, we have snacks. What's your favorite coffee? Like,
Oh, wow. So they really are good hosts.
yes, yeah, we have great hosts on our board. And
Sounds like it.
which is part of what makes volunteering more fun because we're also every board meeting we're bringing snacks and trying to make it more enjoyable for ourselves.
Well, where are you guys at with your 2024 projects?
So,
Are they?
yes, this project is a little different because we are doing a call that has subject matter assigned. So we aren't doing creative freedom this year, not completely anyways. So that changed our pay scale as well.
Oh.
So usually we pay our artists $7.50 a square foot plus a $200 to $250 supply stipend, and that is tied for the highest paid mural festival in the country.
Wow.
And we would like to keep progressing and get higher and like keep helping like set that bar because we do really care about our artists, and our artists get to keep copyright and they get ad hoc support the whole time they're on the wall. We're bringing snacks around every day.
More
Snacks are a big
snacks.
theme. Yeah.
The starving artist. You
Yes.
don't want that. I love
Don't
it.
allow anyone to starve
Nice,
ever.
nice.
Yeah, we always tell our artists like, come ready to eat. Like,
And they do, I bet. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, because we do a little artist breakfast day one, so they can all meet and network and
Oh.
start to form their relationships right then and there instead of at the end of the festival when they're tired.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So they all work on their murals at the same time.
Yeah, they're all working at the same time all over the city, and we do a little like meet-up dinner a few days into the first of the week of painting, and then we have an anniversary party halfway towards the end, kind of. Try not to put it towards the end because, like I said, our artists they're getting
They're
sleepy.
tired,
They've been working
yeah.
hard, and they want to just go home at
That's
that
a
point.
lot of work for a week.
Yeah,
that's-
exactly. And we
yeah.
want to respect that they need to go home and get back to their lives, you know, and their jobs
definitely.
and everything. But it's great, and we enjoy it so much, and that part I think gives all our volunteer board members like just such a boost every year. It's just so fun hanging out with the artists and seeing them
Yeah,
form
definitely.
connections. Yeah.
Well, for unartistic people like myself, how would we get involved?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we would love to have you. We
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so this year's project, we're doing a little different setup where they don't have full creative freedom, but we are doing a gateway mural, which is basically
the
a giant
Welcome Fort
postcard.
Collins?
Yeah.
Or welcome to.
Yeah,
Anyway, go
it
ahead.
says
Tell us.
greetings from Fort Collins, Colorado. Yeah, big old postcard mural, 213 Jefferson, which is the side of Millennium Tattoo, right across
Right,
from
right.
the Union.
Yeah.
Where there's that empty lot. So perfect spot for people to take photos in front of safely without having to be in traffic.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, my husband and I were walking across that lot a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, why doesn't somebody do something with this? So it's great.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's happening. Nice.
Yeah, so because we don't have the creative freedom that we normally do, each artist is filling in one letter of Fort Collins. So, you know, someone's assigned to F, O, R, T, and et cetera. And we have a couple emerging artists on there, and we have a good, super solid lineup of local artists, and we kept it even more hyper-local than usual. So very much it's all Fort Collins-based artists for this one.
Oh, that makes sense since it's Welcome to Fort Collins.
I know.
That's
we wanted
perfect.
to reflect our local artist demographic and show like what we have, you know, like this is what we have. They're amazing.
Well, and anybody that wants to see that picture is also on the website. So
It is.
Yeah.
And it's
the concept of it. Yeah.
And it's under our calls, and we have a volunteer call there.
Yes, you do. Yeah, that was the one I think I was telling you would be great for one of my relatives to come and do. So
it's so like we're so excited to have a volunteer call finally. We haven't been able to do one, and this is our first time doing a volunteer call.
Oh, it is. So volunteers don't help the artists on the other haven't. Oh.
No, not yet. We just haven't quite figured out volunteer coordination until this year, and we're like, let's go for it and give this a go and see how we can incorporate it into the future as well.
Well, I think that's a good way to do it and kind of start with one mural rather than 15 spread around the city. So
Exactly.
yeah, very smart, very smart.
Yeah, we got that one central location. So the week of September 1st through 8th, or September 1st through 7th, check the volunteer call.
It's on the website.
Yes.
On the website, which is
fcmuralproject.org, and then it should be /volunteer call.
there you go. There you go. Well, Jess, I know too that you would appreciate any sort of support that folks can do in terms of financial support, and I think that art around our city is so important. So I'm going to give you a plug. I hope people will donate to this.
Oh my gosh,
because it's
yeah.
just so beautiful.
We really appreciate that as well, because yes, that's a big thing that we're always working and striving on, is growing our donor base, because we have the name Fort Collins and people assume that we are funded by the city tax dollars.
Oh,
and
we
are
get the same
not.
thing at FC Public Media. So
Yes.
the Mural Project and Public Media are not funded by tax dollars. So
Yes,
yeah,
that is important to know.
very important to
Yes.
note. And
Yes.
yeah. Well, Jess, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on to Snapshot News and sharing your projects. And we'll look forward to having you back. I think we could talk about mural art for hours, so I'm hoping to have you back.
Oh, I can talk for hours about mural art.
Yeah, great. And listeners, please check out fcmuralproject.org. And thank you for tuning in. And again, Jess, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I
Oh.
appreciate you reaching out.
My pleasure. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye. Well, Adam and Trey, there's still a lot going on in Larimer County right now that we just have run out of time. We can't talk about the fire, which, of course, the Alexander Mountain Fire. We are praying and hoping everyone that's in that path is safe. We've got the Larimer County Fair. We're recording this on August 2nd, so we've got a week of fair activities coming up. Comic-Con is coming. Martin Lind is talking about moving the Colorado Eagles hockey team to Greeley. Adam and I have thoughts on that we'll share with you later. But I did want to let everybody know that we will be producing in the next few weeks here a special edition of Snapshot News regarding Prospect Oil and, in general, the oil and gas industries in Fort Collins and in Larimer County, and what the county is doing to mitigate the impacts, the negative impacts on the environment, including reaching a very interesting deal with Prospect Oil to close and cap their wells. So we will have experts joining us to talk about that. So please stay in touch with us through Facebook and Instagram and watch for that coming. You won't want to miss it. So Trey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great opportunity.
I hope you'll come back and do some more reporting for us.
I hope so too. We'll see.
Great.
Got a lot
great.
to do this semester.
You do. Well, we'll get you on Christmas break or something. So there
Sounds
you
like
go.
a plan.
Yes, we appreciate you coming in quite a bit. It's fascinating conversation and information. And we also would like to thank the Colorado Citizens Observer Corps for their fine work and keeping an eye on all of our local governments. You can read the reports free of charge at coloradocitizenobservers.substack.com. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer observer, please visit their website for more details at citizenobserverco.co. Jorie, any last thoughts or guests?
I guess just again to thank Trey and also our guest, Jess Bean, the Executive Director of the Fort Collins Mural Project, for coming by and telling us about the exciting mural project they have planned for this fall. The link to get involved with that mural is in the show notes. Snapshot News is recorded at FC Public Media. Any opinions expressed here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect FC Public Media nor the City of Fort Collins. For more information about FC Public Media, please visit fcpublicmedia.org.
Oh, and one last thing. We would love to hear from our listeners. If you have any news tips for us or want to share your opinions or corrections for us, just email us at lc.snapshotnews lc.snapshotnews@gmail.com. And thanks again for joining us today. If you like the show, please send the link to your friends and family. I'm Adam Eggleston.
And I'm Jorie Kramer. Bye for now.